All right, welcome to another strange episode of the Retro Game Club podcast. I am Rob, and with me is someone who I wish was Tony Vitale, who we will talk about in a second. Hugh.
That's right, yeah. Tony Vitale. Wait a minute. We're talking about Tony Vitale? Did I miss something in our notes?
That's the kid's name that we all talk about.
Oh, I was thinking, you know what? I was thinking of Dick Vitale, the long-term sports announcer.
Yeah, no. I actually have worked with two different Tony Vitales. So, yeah.
Really?
Okay. We're gonna we're probably confusing the listeners right now, but this is an unnumbered episode so far. It will eventually be numbered by Zach. But this is part of our series, which was a 3-parter. Now it's 4. Who knows if it'll be more, about video game shows. And so far, what have we done? We've done Throut and Neck.
Yep.
And Starcade. Yeah. So those first two were Hugh's picks. This next one was my pick, and it was a show I actually watched as a young kid. Oh, a 90s kid, I guess. Okay. Not that young, but this is Video Power. I think it started, let's see, when did this start? Like 1990? Yeah, 90 to 92 at least.
So where did you see this? Because I have no recollection of the show existing.
It was on network TV. It was on, I think it was on whatever the Saturday or whatever the afternoon, whatever DuckTales was on. That's what it was on. Because I think there was actually a DuckTales ad or something in one of the episodes.
So it was syndicated. So it wasn't like on ABC or something. It would be on an affiliate station of some sort.
I thought it was one of the antenna TV stations, but
no, what I'm saying is it would be like, it's not like you can be a TV show that's like on CBS, Fox, or ABC, or what's the other one, NBC, right? And then there's syndicated shows, which is like, I've created a TV show, and whatever stations feel like running it will run it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what this was. So yeah, it would be like an antenna station wherever you lived. Like it could be on the WB where you lived, and it could have been on WGN where I live, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't remember it being on anywhere, so that's why I was a little bit surprised, because it seems like something I probably would have watched. This ran from 1990 to 1992, so probably would have seen it if it was on. I was in high school then, but would still dork out to something like this, I bet.
Oh, totally, just because it was video games. So for our listeners, let me describe it quickly. So we specifically picked the RoboCop episode 1. I'll get into that part in a minute, but so season 1 had this whole thing stars Johnny Arcade, which is not his real name. His real name is Stevie Paskoski or something. Yeah, his name is not Johnny, but yep, it stars Johnny Arcade. And in season 1, there was a cartoon that he kind of helped with, meaning like they would he'd be in the real world and he would like help direct the people in the cartoon. And let's see, the people in the cartoon are Johnny Arcade, Bigfoot from the NES Bigfoot game, Max Force from Narc, Kuros from, I think that's how you pronounce it, from Wizards and Warriors, Tyrone, I think that's from Arch Rivals, right?
Okay, yeah, it is, yeah.
And they changed how he looked because they were afraid that Michael Jordan was going to sue, because I guess in Arch Rivals he looks like Michael Jordan a little bit. And then Quirk, that's from that Game Boy game, which should be, I liked that game, so that should be a Game Club game. Okay. And then after that season, they turned this into a game show, which is kind of, it starts out with some banter, and then they actually they try to stump Johnny Arcade with some pretty, I thought some pretty difficult questions. By they, I mean the audience.
Yeah, the audience who's clearly reading up a cue card.
Oh, you think that's what it was?
Well, the last kid to ask a question, I mean, it was just so like, I can't remember what it was now, but it was just some very like like they're clearly looking at something and reading it word for word. This wasn't like an organic question, you know.
Okay.
Like I could ask like Johnny Arcade, like, yeah, when Link gets the time stop, you know, the stopwatch thing, what's the order of colors he blinks in, right? Like that would be a really hard one for Johnny Arcade to get. But when I ask it like, in the Nintendo game, The Legend of Zelda, when Link gets the, you know, that's how they were asking the questions.
See, I didn't know if that's just how kids talked when a camera was pointed at them.
Maybe, but it seemed, the last question in particular on the show seemed very, you know, astroturfy.
Yeah,
And that Johnny Arcade had such like a perfect comeback for every question.
Yeah, that's why it was very, very impressive. As a kid, I was very impressed with his knowledge. Let's just say it that way.
Yes.
If I ever see this guy, Stevie, in the streets, I will definitely ask him a Nintendo question for sure.
Yeah. He won't be able to answer. And also, he's not in the shot with the kids. So, like, his answers were probably recorded beforehand.
That's what I thought, too. The cut was kind of weird, where it didn't seem like he may have even been in the same room with them.
Yeah.
But then the kids that stump him get to compete, and they compete for points or how far they could get in a certain game. And this was RoboCop. And the kids that asked questions and got through were Nicholas, Nick, and what was the third one? Nicole. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess they must have filmed it in Greektown. That's what I got.
Possibly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This I think this was filmed in New York, so that could track.
Well, they played
that could
Greektown
track.
in New York too.
That could track. So and then there was at one point the first kid that lost, and again he was going up against a girl too. He looked angry that he did not win.
Yeah.
And Johnny Arcade, you know, he's this 90s spastic teenager, really going over the top. And at certain points, he's literally doing like I don't know if you would call it like Chris Farley or Tom Green or something, where he's kind of shaking them back and forth, trying to make him smile. And sometimes the kids really look like they want to punch him in the face. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't want to be on like any Discord. This kid is now an adult member of, is what you're saying.
Yes. But he had no reason to be angry at losing. But when Johnny Arcade kind of picks on the kids, there should be some retaliation. There should be a mutiny in this show, I think.
Yeah.
What did you think of the other hosts? There was the music guy and then the other guy that just talked at the TVs while they were playing RoboCop.
Yeah, the guy in like the hot pink suit.
Yes, which I think you will wear at a. I think you have something in your notes about a wedding you're going to.
Yeah, I have to go to a beach wedding later this year. I assume I'm still going. I who knows? You never know how relationships are going to work out, right? Mm-hmm. So as far as I know, I'm going to a beach wedding later this year, and they were very adamant that you have to wear. I think they used the term beach formal in the description. I don't know what that means, but I told my friend that I was just going to dress like I was going to get the suit that Tommy Vercetti gets in Vice City.
Totally.
And at one point he can get a suit, not his initial clothing with like the Hawaiian shirt or whatever. I mean the suit.
You're going to do Miami Vice.
Yeah, Miami Vice type of outfit. That's all I could think of. Like I'll just go order or go to the thrift stores or go to estate sales and find a Miami Vice looking suit.
Can you show up on a jet ski? Can that happen?
Well, I could, except I would probably die in the process. I don't think I could jet ski if I tried.
So is this a nice beach or is it a local beach? Not that there's
it's nice. Yeah, I don't want to go into too many details, but it's not local.
Oh, nice.
Because I can't really. If you wanted to do a beach wedding off like Lake Michigan in Chicago, there's like 2 weekends all year that you can do it.
Yeah, and you might get like some E. coli sickness.
No, generally speaking, Lake Michigan's pretty safe to swim in.
Okay.
Generally. So the problem is that like most of the nice weekends, it's like, oh, it's a nice weekend in Chicago. Let's fly like some Air Force craft off it loudly.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I mean,
Yes.
like, hey, let's do like fancy boats everywhere. Like it's just like they do a lot of events on the lake that would not be a good backdrop to getting married.
Yeah. But anyway, so you're going to dress like this second host, whatever his name was.
Yeah, I want that outfit, and I figure we are slowly getting into the great baby boomer die off right around now. So maybe I can find like some real good 80s suits at an estate sale.
Yes. Oh, that is a good idea. And then there was a second host. He was the musical coordinator. And he was like, he had like 2 or 3 80s and 90s keyboards, which are probably worth a lot of money now.
Yeah.
And a Fender Strat around, hung over his shoulder. And he just kind of looked cool. I really didn't see him doing too much. But he does have sound credits in this and a few other shows. So I think he actually did stuff, but I don't think on camera he was actually doing
Yeah, I think he was responsible for the show remote control for the music at least too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We should mention that at the end of the show, the winner... So before the end of the show, I guess I would call it the semifinals. You put on this vest and helmet of Velcro. And as you win, Johnny Arcade will slap some prizes to it, which also has Velcro. And then at the end of the show, you get to go through this Double Dare-esque obstacle course without slime or anything.
Yeah.
And you have a few seconds to get through it, a minute or 30 seconds or something, and you got to slap as many prizes that you want against your body, and you have to get to the end in time. So you can't just stand there like putting stuff on your body, and whatever is still stuck to you at the end is what you get to keep. Which I was so jealous of the kids that were on this show.
Yeah, it's a very weird concept. It's like, there was I don't know, it was Nickelodeon or someone did a thing where like you'd get a run through Toys R Us with a shopping cart or whatever, and you put whatever you could put in a shopping cart in 5 minutes, whatever the contest was. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and this is like kind of a dumber version of that.
Yes.
Because they do run through like a little like pretend store and Velcro stuff to their head.
Yeah. And let's see what let me try to get through my notes here. Yep, Johnny is a spaz, that's for sure. Oh, one thing about Johnny being a spaz is that my kids watch YouTube, and while they're watching YouTube, I tell them how stupid the kids are that they're watching are. And Johnny acts exactly like these new YouTube stars. Exactly. Like nothing's changed from the 90s.
Well, right, but that's kind of how I suspect if we had filmed people in like the 1930s, you would find the equivalent of Johnny Arcade. You'd be like Johnny Pool Hall or something. I don't know. But like you would find the equivalent at different periods of time.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. And another show we're going to do is called V&A Top 10. And Nicholas in this looks like the kid version of the host in V&A Top 10. And the host in that is named Nick. So I'm wondering if these are the same universes.
It could be. I mean, the Nick in the other show is considerably older. So I have a couple notes here. I said, one, the kids I thought looked like parodies of 1980s kids. Like if you were going to make a throwback movie set in the 1980s, this is what the kids would look like.
These kids are the Stranger Things kids.
Yeah. And at some point they talk about a game called Crazy Land.
I don't remember
that is
part.
vaporware, sort of.
Wow. Are there any pictures
saw that,
of it or anything?
Like, wait a minute, Crazy Land, that was a Japan exclusive, Crazy Land. It was released in the US, but they reskinned it as a Trolls licensed game.
Really?
Remember the Trolls with the rainbow hair?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so Crazy Land in the form they show on this TV show was not released in America.
Did any of the kids get that? Like, is that a treasure that they have?
I don't know if the kids got Crazy Land, but it would have been a Famicom cartridge anyways. Because like it was not really that close to getting a US release, as I understand.
Weird. Huh, what other notes do you have in there?
That's the most of it. Like I mentioned, I never heard of the show before. I did confirm while we were talking that it was on WGN in Chicago.
Okay.
I could have watched it. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I'm not going to say I had a life. Probably didn't have anything better going on. Maybe something else was on at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Certainly wasn't like after school extracurricular activities, taking up my time. So, no, that was the big one. I mean, I was just impressed to see Vaporware. And again, the kids are just, again, you could have told me this was like filmed today for Netflix. It's like a parody show and eventually like a monster's going to appear or something. I don't know. And I would be like, oh yeah, okay, well, man, they sure did a bad job with those kids because they just don't know kids actually look like that in the 80s.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the game Wampum?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
I don't know.
I don't know if I've played it either. I didn't think I heard of it until I looked it up, and I definitely had seen it before. I still can't tell if it's racist or not. Maybe it didn't age well.
I was thinking of the game Worm Wompers, which I have played.
No.
Womp video game. Let's see.
It's like a...
Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I haven't played this, and I was thinking of Worm Whoppers, which is a completely different game.
So, the boy that wins is Tony Vitale, the person who we'll get into in a minute. And then the person in second place is Nick, and, they play RoboCop 2, and the second host that we were talking about describes RoboCop 2 as being cleaning the streets of crime, the streets of New York of crime, which is not where RoboCop takes place. Yeah. And being from Detroit / Delta City, I guess. I take offense to that. But anyway, his prize is Wampum. And he doesn't seem too sad about it. I mean, he got a free NES game out of it. He may have gotten a few other things, I forget. But I'm starting to get my two shows mixed up. But let's see. Let's get into Tony Vitale. Okay. So this is the winner kid, the kid that wins it all. Picture this: Dahmer glasses, a bowl cut that's also a mullet. He's pretty cocky, but also pretty quiet. I could definitely see him like walking around his subdivision wearing like a power glove all the time. This kid's my spirit animal. For sure. I tried to look him up, but there's a billion Tony Vitales in the world.
Yeah.
But I picked him to win right when I saw him. And so he goes through the... let's see, what else? Oh, another prize they win is a voice-activated camera, by the way, which I thought was kind of a good idea for the time. You could kind of set it up for some proto selfies, I guess. And
there's almost no chance that works.
No. And your mouth would like always be open because it's voice activated, I guess. But so, to go through when you go through the obstacle course, he was supposed to find the Yonoid game, and he would have won something big if he found that, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if they said what the grand prize would have been, but here's what he stuck to his body that stayed on his body that he was able to keep at the end of the show. Castle of Illusions for Genesis, Heavy Shreddin', Ninja Gaiden 2, Pipe Dream for Game Boy, a wristwatch, which I think every video game show in the 80s and 90s needed to give away wristwatches.
Yeah.
Mercenary Force, which I've never played. Ultima, Quest of Avatar, Total Recall, Double Dragon 3, Little Ninja Brothers, Heavy Shredding, and Ninja Gaiden 2.
Wait, that's 2 Heavy Shreddings.
Yes, he has 2 Heavy Shreddings. It's not a mistake.
Okay.
Well, it's his mistake, not mine.
Yeah.
Hey, he could like trade one in, to Funko Land or something. But that's a pretty good haul right there. He did good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
He did skip over anything that would have given him exercise: skateboards, bikes, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's not too surprising.
But apparently, and I forgot this part, all the winners of the show throughout the week meet again on Friday for like the grand finale episode of that week. So at the end of the show, he said, Tony, you'll be back on Friday, but I couldn't find that episode online to see how good he did.
And they like have some sort of death match or something.
Yes, it's like Thunderdome.
Okay.
So what did you think of this show? We could kind of close it out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's got this sort of like short attention span appeal to it because there's so many cuts and changes in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just bam, 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 bam. Like it's just constant chaos, really. It struck me as a very chaotic show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Also, was one of the contestants wearing the same shirt as Johnny Arcade?
I don't know. That is a possibility.
Yeah, it was like this. Like Johnny Arcade was basically wearing like the kind of shirt you would see in the JCPenney catalog in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the kids, I think, had nearly the exact same shirt.
Yeah, it was he dressed very Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
In this episode, was Johnny Arcade's room in it? Sometimes he starts episodes in his room, which is very like, I have 2 video game systems set up and a bunch of posters. And
yeah, I thought he was, it's not where he was also answering the questions.
Oh, possibly. That may have been it. So, and I don't even know if it was his room. I mean, he could have been like squatting in a basement or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was a studio. I don't think.
No, he definitely didn't live there. He was. But yeah, this is a fun show. I think, our listeners, please check it out. We'll have links in the show notes. And if you search on YouTube for Video Power, I mean, there's probably like 10 episodes on there. And most of them are pretty different. For 2 years, I mean, this show morphed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a relatively short show. I mean, I think that the last show in our series, I just looked it up and somehow ran for 8 years.
Yeah.
So, and the other shows we've talked about, Starcade was like 2.5 seasons maybe. And Throughout Neck was, I don't know, mercifully short.
Yeah, yes.
So this is maybe the second or third longest running show we're going to talk about, but it's yeah, I mean, I don't know why it didn't last longer. I mean, this was sort of it's running around the time that people were cutting over from 8-bit to 16-bit systems, and maybe it just wasn't a good time I don't know. Maybe they filmed more stuff, but then the Super Nintendo came out, or maybe this is around the Genesis was starting to get kind of hot around here too, and this is all 8-bit Nintendo focused. Maybe people weren't interested in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is too early for the internet to have ruined it or anything like that. So I don't know why this didn't last.
Yeah.
Maybe Johnny was a bit too over the top.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Maybe the prizes were too expensive. Kids walked away with too many Nintendo games.
I mean, yeah. Or they just peaked with Tony Vitale. Like, where do you go after that?
Yeah.
Well, all right. If our listeners have any feedback on the show, please email us, email@retrogameclub.net. And yeah, we'll see you next time. We have no idea when this will launch. So that's it.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for listening.